Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're going to dive into one of MQL5's absolute powerhouse features for building really sophisticated trading models. It's native support for matrices and vectors. So let's jump right in. All right, let me ask you something, especially if you're a developer. Does this feeling seem familiar? You've got this brilliant mathematical model, this great idea for a strategy, but when you sit down to actually code it, you get completely tangled up in a web of nested for loops, just trying to get your matrices to multiply. It's a huge pain point, and it's exactly what we're here to talk about. And this slide just lays it all out, doesn't it? The before and the after. On the left, you've got the old way. It's complex, it's so easy to make a mistake, and honestly, it's a headache to read. But on the right, that's the MQL5 way. A single, clean line of code that looks almost exactly like the math it's supposed to be. So how do we get from that mess on the left to the elegance on the right? You know, for the longest time, if you wanted to do any serious linear algebra in your trading code, you had to build it all from scratch. It meant writing these nested loops to go through every row and every column, trying to keep track of all the array indices, and then spending hours debugging some simple off-by-one error. It was slow, it was clunky, and it was a real barrier to trying out more advanced quant strategies. But here's the thing. MQL5 has completely flipped the script. They've introduced native data types built specifically for these kinds of math operations. And this isn't some add-on library, it's baked right into the core of the language, designed from the ground up to make a quant's life a whole lot easier. Okay, so let's break down what we're actually talking about here. According to the MQL5 reference, the language now has a matrix type. You can think of it as a two-dimensional grid of numbers, and a vector type, which is just a single row or column. But the key thing to remember is that these are not your standard arrays. They come supercharged with special methods just for high-speed linear algebra. And that right there, that's the whole point. These new types mean you can stop trying to translate beautiful, clean math into ugly, clunky loops. Instead, your code starts to look and feel just like the formulas you're working with. It's simpler, it's shorter, and it's way more intuitive to work with. So, what's in this new toolkit? Well, you get a whole suite of mathematical functions that are going to feel super familiar to anyone who's ever dabbled in modern data science languages. And hey, don't just take my word for it. Look at this. This is straight from the official MQL5 reference. It says you can translate algorithms from Python with minimum efforts. I mean, that's a massive deal. It basically opens the door for you to bring over this huge body of existing quant research and libraries right into your MQL5 environment. Now, this is where things get really cool. Check out this direct comparison to NumPy, the gold standard for this stuff in Python. MQL5 gives you methods like transpose, inv for inverting a matrix, solve for figuring out systems of linear equations, and dot for dot products. This is a serious professional-grade toolkit right out of the box. But what's the one thing that pulls all of this together? The real magic? Well, it all comes down to a single, incredibly elegant character. This little guy. The @ symbol. This is the matrix product operator. MQL5 has built this right into the language to handle matrix multiplication, following all the rules of linear algebra. It's not just another function call, it's a native operator, just like a plus or a minus sign, but for matrices. So how does it work? It's actually super smart and intuitive. It handles the three main situations you'll run into. First, if you multiply a matrix by another matrix, you get a new matrix back. Second, if you multiply a matrix by a vector, you get a new vector. And finally, if you multiply a vector by another vector, it all boils down to a single number, a scalar. The language just figures it out for you. It just works. And that's the big aha moment right there. This single operator, this one character, it completely replaces all of that messy nested loop code we saw at the very beginning. It's a giant leap forward for making your code easier to read, simpler to write, and much, much more reliable. Okay, so this is all really neat for us coders, but why does this actually matter for your trading? How does this clean code give you a real edge in the market? Oh, the payoff is massive. We're talking cleaner code, sure, but that means you're developing faster, you're spending less time squashing bugs. But the most important part, it lets you unlock more advanced strategies. I mean, think about building a portfolio optimization model or a complex multi-factor regression. Things that used to be a total nightmare to code are now suddenly within reach, right inside MQL5. So you see, this is way more than just a tech update. It's really a strategic shift.
By letting the language handle the heavy lifting with the math, MQL5 frees you up to think at a higher level. You get to focus on the strategy, the innovation, the stuff that actually drives your performance.
So we'll leave you with this thought. Now that you have these incredibly powerful tools right at your fingertips, now that the barrier to entry for complex math has been lowered so much, what's that powerful, data-driven strategy that you're finally going to build? The possibilities are pretty much wide open.